Hey guys, this is going to be a guide on core Dawnbreaker, but mainly focusing on mid. So the reason why I want to make a guide on mid Dawnbreaker is because first and foremost, if you look at her win rate across all brackets at the current moment, it is above 53% in every single bracket. So she's a hero that all of you can use, no matter how low or how high your MMR number may be. On top of that, my personal history with Dawnbreaker has been fantastic. I have won 9 of the last 10 games. And all of these games, let's note, have been core Dawnbreaker. So with this evidence to support my theory that you too should learn Dawnbreaker, I am going to proceed with what I was exactly telling you what I was going to do, which is going to be a hero guide.
Banana slam jam.
So let's go ahead and jump into it. I have 2 different replays to give to you guys about Dawn, but first I want to talk about the hero conceptually. So what makes Dawnbreaker so strong conceptually, not just this patch, is that she has a flash farming mechanic. Her Celestial Hammer pretty much one-shots creep waves level 4. Insane amount of damage. Helps you take stacks, clear creep waves, and not only that, but it's from super long range. It's basically a Coddle Blast. Like, you're throwing it from so far away and you're almost one-shotting the creep wave. On top of that, she has an ultimate that resembles Specters. It's a global ultimate that can be cast on an ally hero that saves them and heals them while also damaging the people that are going on them. So she's a combination of Spectre and Coddle, who also can dish out some serious freaking damage, has really strong base stats, and her Shard gives her a built-in BKB on her Starbreaker. If I haven't sold you enough already, I don't know what would. You know, Salesman BSJ, I'm not the best at it, but that alone for me would sell. So what basically makes Dawnbreaker so strong this current patch is with the nerf to all the regen items like Salve and then the nerf to BKB, the fact that she has built-in sustain, built-in harass, and also a built-in BKB of sorts just makes her that much more enticing. She's always been a good hero, conceptually. I just think if she's ever allowed to just be a lane dominator in any given patch, she's just broken because of the fact that if she wins her lanes, she also wins the other lanes because of her ultimate. And that's exactly why I believe she's best suited as a mid for pubs. Like I said, I actually think she could be played carry or 3. I've played her in all 3 core roles, but mid I think is her best one. So without further ado, I think the best way to demonstrate Dawn is through example. So when I play Dawn mid, it's pretty scripted in terms of the first 3 or 4 items. So what I mean by that is your starting items pretty much always look like this. And on top of that, I always take my Celestial Hammer level 1. It's just by far your best spell. It's 120 damage if you throw it and instantly pull it back for CSing. And it's also just really good harass. So this is Dawnbreaker against Tiny. I would say pretty much 90% of matchups are good for Dawn. Whereas you see here, I'm able to use my hammer to zone him from those 2 creeps. I pretty much try to spam the hammer until my bottle. I like this build because it pretty much matches up really nicely with how many times you cast hammer. Prior to the time you get your bottle, you about run out of mana at the right time. And I'd like to note that in this matchup, I actually took Luminosity, a level 2. That's because against Tiny, it's really hard to utilize Starbreaker because of Avalanche. He can reliably cancel it. So I'm not often wanting to cast Starbreaker, and he's also a really high base damage hero who I'm reliably going to be able to hit, so I can make use of the lifesteal component on hitting heroes. So note that you only gain healing for the full percentage if you're hitting a hero. So if I'm not really going to hit the enemy hero very much, I won't even level this at all until like level 8 or 9. So it really comes down to how much I'm hitting the opponent when it comes to leveling this skill. But notice even just like a little bit of a trade there, it adds up. And then I'm trying to hit him with every charge of it. It's similar to Slaughter Bash. You hit 3 times, you're going to be guaranteed the crit on the 4th one. Also, you can utilize it with your Starbreaker. If you have the heal prepped, your Starbreaker hits 3 times, so as long as you've hit at least 1 charge, your Starbreaker will lifesteal from everything you hit on the charge that gives you the crit. So not only is it the fact that you heal from 1 target, but you're basically getting like an AoE lifesteal component. And I also want to note that the fact that they gave her more luminosity crit this patch, and then like this luminosity crit talent at level 15, and then Starbreaker hits for an extra 70 damage per swipe, and then you also get the 25 here, so it's 95. What I'm basically trying to say is there's a ton of built-in sustain and a ton of built-in damage on this hero, and it's not to be underestimated. So I always max out Hammer, no exceptions. By level 7, I will have 4 points in Hammer, not even close. By far her best skill in the early game. I've tried a few other builds before, and I always regretted them. I will say time and time again, no exceptions. So what makes Dawnbreaker mid so nice is that she just draws even in pretty much every matchup. And anytime people try to contest you, like you saw the Tiny do there, you can just chuck your hammer at them, and they take a lot of damage in return. This matchup actually proved to be a little bit difficult for me. This guy was a good player. He's like rank 150, and that's why I didn't really level Starbreaker earlier, because he just cancels it. But even in a matchup that seemed to be well contested, and he's just too tanky for my hero to kind of harass out of lane, I'm still farming fine. I want to note that every single Dawnbreaker game I played was first pick. I didn't like cheese these people. I didn't wait to see if it was a good Dawnbreaker game. I think Dawnbreaker's at the point where you can first pick her in pretty much every core role and have a good game. Yes, there are counters, but overall, I think Dawnbreaker is just too powerful conceptually and in the laning phase to have a really bad game. So I buy whatever items I need to lane. Against Tiny specifically, he has a lot of damage, so I go for the wand and raindrops play. But Dawnbreaker is really fast. So even in lanes like this, where I don't feel great about contesting them, I'm not really harassing them out of lane, know that I just push the lane with Hammer and go pick up the bounty runes. And if I'm in a lane where I don't need the wand raindrops combo, then I will just get boots so that I can run around the map picking up all the bounty runes. You clear the wave so fast that it frees you time to do other things. I think that's really important to abuse on Dawnbreaker mid, especially. In the side lanes, it allows you to pull a little bit, but that's really it. So notice how I'm kind of like down to trade with this guy, but I'm trying to spend as much time basically clearing the creeps as possible, such that I can utilize the efficiency of the fact that this hero is fast and she can clear camps fast. So note, I thought this guy stacked, so I'm just going to go yoink his small camp real quick. Level 3 hammer, one-shots camps. I ended up using my abilities because I wanted to reset. So note how I just hit 6. This is really common for me, is I hit 6 and I want to be ready to ult at any time. So I used my spells, I went to base, bought my items, instantly ulted to a fight that I saw happening. Now, of course, if there was no fight, I would have just walked back mid. But this is a perfect opportunity to always be ready with Solar Guardian. And this is just a situation where a kill that may not have happened, probably not, ends up happening. Give our guys the kill real quick, and then we just dip out. We're going to walk right back to our lane. And the thing about Dawn is, since you have such a strong mid lane, and then you also do that, usually you win 2 out of your 3 lanes guaranteed. In this game specifically, top lane was also doing well, so the game ended up kind of being a stomp. But just note that if the opponent mid rotates, I just clear the wave and push the tower. And every time off cooldown, I'm just freaking hammering the small camp because it dies instantly. Little injections of gold, people. So after boots, the raindrops and wands are actually debatable. I don't always go these. If I just need them in lane, I'll go them. But ideally, I wouldn't. I go for the soul ring. Some people go like phase boots, upgrade their boots and stuff. But the soul ring, I think, right now is just perfect because it's the exact mana cost of your celestial hammer, basically. And if you notice, I'm just chucking this hammer at creep camps and creep waves off cooldown. And the soul ring really just is everything this hero needs to accelerate. It's literally a farming item, soul ring. So you see 2 heroes mid. I'm going to clear the wave full to 0 with my hammer. Go over and farm the small camp. Farm the next wave with hammer. I've got ult again. I'm looking for my ultimate. I feel a bit threatened because the Tiny, I don't want him to cancel my ultimate. Can go clear creep camps. I'm looking top to use my ultimate. Just notice how it's lane, creep camps, right? And so this case, I used my ultimate because I thought I'd catch the Monkey King before he leaped to trees. Didn't work out. But just notice how I'm literally in every lane. And that makes this hero just conceptually insane. So the most important thing to note about Dawn is even with Soul Ring Bottle, you notice I have some sustain issues from how active I'm being. But the fact is, you have boots, your high movement speed, and you have a mobility spell. So never stay on the map without enough resources to be strong. So the reason I didn't like TP back mid there was I was half HP against a hero like Tiny. I don't want to give the opponent a play on me ever. The most broken part about Dawn is whenever she has ult, you can't make plays on her teammates because she saves them. So what that means is usually the enemy's win condition or like momentum condition is for them to go on you, right? Because they have to. So I never make myself a target. That is the utmost priority in regards to my resource management, itemization, etc. I need to make myself as hard of a target for the opponent as possible, and it makes my entire team's game stronger. So once again, we just walk back to mid, nuke out the wave, clear creep camp with Starbreaker. And this is like a pretty standard build, you know, maybe 1 point luminosity, but then I can usually go back and max the Starbreaker. There's some games where I max the luminosity, but I think you could get away with just maxing Starbreaker. Tiny had a haste rune here, so I didn't end up wanting to fight. My enchantress got mad at me, such is life. And I just walked back to mid. The thing about her tower is it pretty much never dies because you just clear the creep wave off cooldown, as you're seeing me consistently do. Walking with my team to the aggressive part of the map, kind of just fishing for kills with my ultimate. Could have just stayed mid. In this case, I'm willing to TP back to mid because I was basically full HP, using my ult to get another kill on a crucial target, and constantly just looking to pressure. The thing about Dawn is if she gets gone on, her spells are really awkward. Starbreaker is not good because you can't really target it. You're like kind of going in some random direction. So if you look at the way I play, it's all about playing from a distance because you have the ability to gap close. Your spells are incredibly dangerous if the opponent has to run away from you because you have a slow and an ability from the Starbreaker that's only good if they're not fighting back and you have to make them run in a specific direction. So when stuff like this is happening, I just, once again, even though I don't have ultimate, I just make myself not a target because my hammer is an insane slow and AoE damage, right? So I just make sure I don't get gone on, kind of keeping my distance. And that's the real core part of core Dawnbreaker. I mean, just Dawnbreaker in general. Notice how I'm very patient in fights. The way the hammer works is that if you throw it out and you don't go to it, after a specific amount of time, it's going to come back to you. But if you do go to it, it's between wherever you threw it to and halfway there. So like I could throw my hammer from here to here, and if I walked all the way over here and then went to it, I would go about right here, right? So that's how the hammer works. And just note that don't feel pressured to go to the hammer, you know? It gives you more damage, so if you're looking to be aggressive, like it doubles the damage. You know, the hammer damage counts on the way out and the way back. But by no means should you feel rushed to like go to your hammer like you saw there. Whenever we're chasing, this hero feels incredible. And go back to my station. Now, the thing about core Dawnbreaker that I need you guys to understand is in this specific game, I'm playing mid a lot because I have a carry that likes to play bottom, and I have an offlaner that likes to play top. I don't actually care what lane I play. The way I'm playing my lane is the exact same whatever lane I go to. This hero's often bottom and mid on Radiant, top and mid on Dire because she defends towers so well with her hammer, and those are usually the lanes you're stuck defending towers. But be flexible. If your carry's playing mid, run bottom. If your offlaner's playing mid, run top. This hero can do its role in any of the 3 lanes. That's what makes it potentially misplayable. You know, you can mess up and not understand the potential of this hero, but also what makes her so versatile and reliable if you know what to do. I'd also like to note that every time I have my ultimate, I try to stay away from my team. It's a huge efficiency thing to stay away from your team, be able to be there for team fights, but also like keeping your farm efficiency up. So I have my ultimate again, doing my own damn thing, always kind of monitoring if there's an ult opportunity, while playing incredibly safe myself. Notice how like I don't even go to my hammer there, just making sure I defend the lane I'm near. The way I'm playing, I hope you guys can see, is covering all the bases. They can't go on me because I'm playing incredibly safe, and they can't go on my teammates because of my ult. So I'm monitoring constantly. I'm usually very patient. The biggest mistake I made when I started playing Core Dawn, I lost my first like 2 or 3 games, would be the lack of patience on my ult. I would say when you're playing Core Dawn, I'm going to public service announcement here. 80% of your deaths are bad ults because you ult in the middle of a fight, and it's unlike Spectre where you don't have the choice. You're there, you know? So if you ult into a bad fight, you're going to get yourself killed. So I'm overly cautious, and I make sure that it's usually a core I'm trying to save. And it's not because I hate supports, guys. It's because if the support gets gone on, they might even die before I finish my ult. And also, if they're dead, the person I'm trying to heal dies, I'm more likely to die too. So in this case, I see a fight going on top. I'm super patient. I'm waiting, and I see that they've used their spells. That's the big part. They use the Avalanche Toss, they use the Tusk Punch, and it allows us to get a turn kill even though our supports died. And immediately, same idea. Notice this. Ult, something happens, go defend a lane. Dawnbreaker 101, right? So, just defending my tower, forcing this guy away. We do get a pretty sick arrow here and end up killing him, but the main purpose of this TP was to defend the tower. So there's a few different builds. If I'm in a good game of Dawn, I go for the Echo Saber. And the reason why is because of everything I've conceptually explained to you about what Dawn wants to be doing. She wants to be playing by herself, chucking out hammers, which requires a lot of mana. Even with Soul Ring, you end up kind of running out slowly but surely. And also, you want to make yourself not a target. And the extra strength and survivability of an Echo Saber is quite nice. It just kind of amps her game plan if she doesn't need other items. Meaning, like, if your game plan is just going according to exactly what I'm saying, just buy Echo Saber, all right? It benefits everything you're trying to do. So in this case, I don't have ult, but I have a haste, so I'm down to be super aggressive. 2,000 HP, 14 minutes in. Very cool. And this game is basically going to end effectively. We do end up winning maybe 15 minutes from now, but you're seeing a common trend. Ult's off cooldown, TP bottom. Be very careful. I was actually trying to set up a kill on a Monkey King there. But ult right back to a fight. Just note that my play, by TPing here, says nobody on the enemy team can be bottom and be safe. And because I have ultimate, nobody on the top half can be safe either, right? The hero just is so good at creating this lead that I've shown you, and then solidifying it because you just don't let the opponent come back into the game. And I believe that's why her win rate is so high. She reliably gets a good start, and she makes it very difficult for the opponent to come back. Kind of just play around the objectives of my team. The thing about this hero is she doesn't really take objectives herself. So really have to play along the timings of your own teammates. If they choose to never take objectives, that's fine. Just stick to the farming plan we've been talking about. I have ultimate in 20 seconds. Same idea as before. Leave my team behind. Efficiency. Play the opposite side of the map. Try to encourage your team to run together. Maybe they won't, but that's the best way to use the hero. People in my bracket tend to. They don't always, but they tend to. And I'm going to continue buying items that make it so they can't make plays on me. The items I have next are either Blink. In this case, Shard is very nice. Shard on Dawn is S tier. If you haven't bought it, or if you haven't played Dawn, you're just going to have to trust me and buy it. This Shard is broken. It gives you free movement. The biggest thing about this is your Q, the weakest part about your Q, which is a heavy source of damage, is that people can cancel it, and people can just walk out of the line of you moving forward. But this free pathing makes it so they can't do either of those things. They can't cancel it unless they have a BKB piercing disable, and they can't dodge it because you're just following them wherever they go. So yeah, it's an insanely good Shard. It's like a miniature BKB if they don't have any silences. But yeah, no, I have ultimate available. Always TPing to defend towers, cleaning up all the lanes. I'm always going to be very high level because of it. Going back to the fight. Using my Shard to dodge stuns like the snowball. Notice how I'm super patient on the outside of the fight. This is really important. If you overcommit on Dawn, even in a game like this, you just kind of die. Her biggest issue, if you look at all of her bad matchups, let's like take a quick second to talk about this. If you look at all of her bad matchups, they are heroes that kite you or have AoE slows. Like, if you really think about it. Heroes that are hard to reach, AoE slows, consistent control. That is what Dawn is bad against. And being patient such that I can't just get kited when my hammer's already on cooldown is super important, okay? Make them go on you or your teammates and use your hammer accordingly. Don't hammer in and then be like, ah, shit. Okay, so most games, I will have a Blink Shard and a Deso or an Echo Saber. That's usually my build. This game specifically, we had a really hard lineup to fight into, so I just made sure they couldn't really kill me, right? I just kept going survivability items. I went BKB into Halberd. But this game being the stomp that it is, I've pretty much said everything I need to say. Let's jump into a much less clean type of Dawnbreaker game. So when I pick Dawnbreaker first, I always nominate Batrider. He's by far her worst matchup. I've played it twice in the mid lane, and it's incredibly difficult. He's the one hero that can actually kill you full to 0. He has the damage to do it, and so I always avoid playing Dawn into Batrider. If you get stuck doing it, so be it, but I always nominate Batrider. In this case, I got counterpicked with a Timbersaw. So, Timbersaw very good against strength heroes, and I want you to see here the conceptual approach that you take on Dawn when you have a bad lane matchup. And what makes her so broken is against every bad lane matchup except for Batrider, you can do exactly what I'm going to do here. I like to fight with my team at the rune because your hammer's so strong. A lot of defensive aggro, just dodging the Timbersaw. Minimal engagement. That's like the emphasis of Dawn. You saw how much I just hammered creep waves and stuff, making sure I secure range creeps. I don't really mind taking damage because of the fact that I have a bottle coming in pretty soon. I did the same thing in this lane because I'm against a melee strength hero with my passive. I will tell you most lanes, I level my Q here, but it just comes down to how much sustain and how much I think I'm going to hit the opponent. Just happen to be 2 replays of me against a beefy strength guy. But just notice a bunch of defensive creep aggro and just avoiding the Timbersaw at all costs. Really spending no resources on hitting him. And I'm just going to include the small camp super early here. I'm going to get less CS in lane because I'm in a bad matchup, but that's fine because I'm going to get more small creeps from the small camp. And right now, the small camp is what makes mid Dawn so reliable. So notice how I'm just I'm not interacting with him at all. I'm willing to move around the map more. Notice how since the tiny game, I was actually contesting the guy a pretty good amount. I didn't use the small camp nearly as much, and I bought items like raindrops and wand. But on Dawn, if I don't plan to contest the guy, I just buy boots. I get the boots soul ring timing as fast as possible, right? Using mana purely to secure creeps, and then yoinking a small camp stack real quick. I love doing that. You saw that in both games. And then, since I have boots, I can just go pick up bounties. And that's something very useful with my time. I missed 1 creep for it. Not a big deal at all, since I'm so fast. And come back, nuke the creep wave out, and then I'm just going to leave. You know? No interaction whatsoever. He's being a nice guy and like not even taking time to go get the runes. The thing is, if he went and got the rune, I would just go clear the creep wave real quick, you know? So I'm having to spend more mana to clear the creep waves because he's there. But, you know, if he had gone and get the rune, I would spend less mana. But yeah, constantly dodging, you know? Being willing to move around the map. TPing because the opponent's overextending. This hero, even before ultimate that you saw there, is insanely powerful at punishing overextensions. Insanely powerful. So this game, I just saw them diving my tier 1 top, and I'm like, okay, I'll TP in. I'm totally down to just run around the map, right? And not even really caring about returning the lane all that much, keeping up with Timber and levels. The Soul Ring coming out, perfect time. Just defending my tower, ask for a little assistance since I'm getting ran out of Timber and we just need to kill this catapult. But even in the worst of matchups, you can manage your tower, keep it alive by killing the catapult, and that is life. Notice how, just like in the other game, I got my ultimate, and I run straight back to base. Because I'm against a really bad matchup, I get the win lace, because I want to move around the map as much as humanly possible. Same thing I got there. I'm going to TP bottom preemptively because I wasn't sure if I wanted to ult. We end up ulting anyway to make sure we win the fight. You can ult on top of yourself, by the way, and you do get the heal. So, but notice a common trend in the games that I played on. I've only showed you 2, but I assure you it's pretty much every game. My lane goes fine, or wins, and I win some other lane with my first or second rotation. You saw I won top lane pretty decently with that counter rotation, and then I won bottom with that other ultimate use there. So yeah, constantly chucking hammers. Same thing as before. Running around the map, picking up runes. Sadly, didn't get this one. Got the phase boots ASAP, because you just see, I'm running around the map. The worse the matchup is, the more I run. So Windlace phase boots makes sense. No wand here yet, because that means I'm more so like trading, contesting, consistently laning. And this case, my carry got booted out of safe lane. So instead of playing around mid like I did the previous game, I play around bottom. And this is a really hard game. I'm 2-0-2. We're losing by 2k gold. Game kind of sucks, right? My plan here, actually, was to force them to gank me potentially, and then if I had to, ult out. That was my plan, because their only way of canceling is the channel from Pango, which is too long if I queued up before, and Pudge, who wasn't here. Sadly, I fucked it up. I tried to use my ult right here. I tried, if you see me clicking the minimap, and I just fucked it up. But I had a plan. This death is really bad. I should never die here. So I want to emphasize to you guys that what I'm trying to tell you in the other replay that I did correctly, but I did not do here, is I am putting myself on the bad parts of the map and doing my absolute best to not allow myself to be a target for the enemy team. So that case, I messed up because I overextended. I could have just not gone to my hammer prior to the ultimate. But such is life. Deaths like that happen. It sucks, but try to avoid it at all costs. Right back to what I was doing, taking the lane that my teammates are not taking. Notice how I clear the creep wave, run around, whether or not that's mid, bottom, anywhere, and then I go back to the creep wave. And that's the efficient part about Dawn. She's fast, and she can go anywhere because of her ultimate, and she also can move around because she clears creep waves really fast. These are the most abusable, and I will repeat these things for numerous reasons because of how good Dawn is at what I'm talking about. So in this case, I try to give him an infest target and effectively give myself killed. Very sad, very, very sad. Game is going to shit, but we actually managed to have a turn kill with the Visage. Let's continue though. So in this game, the normal game plan of Dawn isn't working. You know what I mean? What I mean is, like, even if I didn't have that first death, I can't reliably be alone and survive against the heroes on the enemy team. Viper's a really annoying matchup. Even Pango BKB rolling is kind of annoying. None of the enemy heroes are particularly good matchups for me, okay? So what that means is I need to change the game. So people ask me, why do I go Echo Saber and why do I go Deso? If I need to just continue being strong, Echo Saber all the way. It gives me everything I need. But if I need to change the status quo, you know, I need to just kill some fuckers, then I'm going to go Deso. Because the minus armor combined with the bonus damage from this and the crit is like insane damage. You'll see it later. But yeah, so in this game, this is really depressing to watch. Literally had to chase him for an eternity and end up dying for it. So this is by no means a smooth game. But you just got to stick to the game plan. You know, the hero doesn't change. Just usually queue up the Deso if I'm having a real rough one. I've also tried, like, Midas's. I've tried Boots of Travel, just dodge items, and if I think I need multiple things. But generally speaking, the Phase Windlace Soul Ring Deso is my go-to dodge build. So playing away from my team, making the opponent chase me around the map, it's really important. Just kiting the opponent in games like this. Even in games where you're winning, you're technically kiting the opponent, but you're looking to make plays off of it. You know, you're looking to have your teammates be aggressive or save your teammates while you're kiting them around. In this case, since we're losing, I'm doing everything Dawnbreaker normally does with virtually no intention of ever fighting them. So we force them to come top, and then I just leave because I have a mobility spell. I'm super tanky, and we're good. Forced a bunch of heroes to our lane. That's the best thing you can do in this type of game, which applies really to most heroes, but Dawn's just super good at this. So a lot of people think Dawn's just like a stomp hero that only gets played from ahead. But Dawn's actually decent at playing from behind as well because of her ability to clear waves from a long distance. We end up getting a kill with a blast on the Pudge. Sadly, we're in a bad spot, so we just have to keep trading our lives to do so. Gonna go and clear the creeps. And Satch. But not the end of the world. Notice how we just keep making as many plays as we can in a game that's hard. But what happens on Dawn is eventually you get that Deso. You know, we just got to stick to the game plan, run away from the opponent team, hiding in trees because we don't know where they are. We know they know we're here. And instead of running back to base, like all you low MMR players do, and like I used to do every time, I really did, and I still do it sometimes, we just need to fight to be annoying, right? Just playing the side lanes, playing the trees, clearing the waves really quickly, making the opponent come get us, because we're Sun Mommy. We are hard to find. So notice how we actually got chased by Pudge, which allowed us to come back to this fight. This fight would look very different if Pudge were here. So instead, we ult back into the fight. The opponent's like, why don't we have our 5th hero? And we win that fight. And just notice how good Sun Mommy is, you know, sorry, people call her that, at splitting the opponent up or making it hard for them to have the appropriate numbers, whether or not you're ahead or behind. Just got to embrace this strength that Dawn has as a hero. So kind of just back to playing side lanes. In this specific case, since I didn't have ult, I wanted to play around a teammate that I thought might be strong, looking to potentially make plays. Didn't quite work out, but I think we are going to get the tower. TP to this fight. Sadly, it's a rough one. I could have argued that that TP was just bad and I could have stayed bottom, but didn't commit with my team. Make sure I don't die. Defend lanes real quick. Resume position of defense. I probably should have just stayed bottom there, though. So, usually one item, then shard. Sometimes Blink Dagger before the shard. If I think I need it for farming the map. Blink Dagger is really nice if the opponent lacks instant disables. But in this case, even though they lacked instant disables, we needed to fight them. So I elected to go for the shard next. Get hooked like a noob. But notice how, like, every fight ends up being a trade of some sort. And that's, like, notice how patient we were with that ult. And this is just what makes Dawn so broken. Is that even in the most ugliest of games, with 5 deaths, I'm still going to dish out a lot of damage in teamfights. So, sadly, you know, this is exactly what looks like in a bad Dawn game. You're just in the middle of the fight, dying. Sometimes you just got to throw yourself in there. People are kiting you around, making it difficult to cast your spells. But in the tougher games, you kind of just got to do that and hope your team makes it work, as you're seeing here. Make them cast a bunch of spells on you. Notice how I kind of took like half their HP with me just because of how much damage Starbreaker does with Deso. And then I run back to farm lanes. I begged my lifestealer to let me have this farm since I keep dying for the team. Have ultimate again. This looks very standard Dawnbreaker play. Very, very standard Dawnbreaker play. Playing away from the team with ultimate. Just building to live. If I feel like we're chasing the opponent around the map, I'm more keen to go Blink Dagger. But this game, they're really chasing us, so Blink Dagger wasn't as much what I wanted. Notice how much heal you give to your team with the Deso Starbreaker. Just look at this. You heal everybody around you. Dong! That's like 400 HP for Visage right there. In closer games, that matters a lot. The heal is half for your allies near you. So we try to contest this Roche. Sadly, Timber barely escapes my Q here. And suddenly a disaster because I died to Timber largely. But do not be dismayed. Dawnbreaker can still win these type of games. She makes it incredibly hard to fight into her at all times. I want you guys to see this game because the first game I showed you guys is like 80% of my Dawnbreaker mid games. But the reason why I'm winning pretty much every game with Dawnbreaker is not because I create that 80% of the game every single game, but it's because of games like this that you can still win because you draw the game out for so long. You make the opponent beat you into submission. You know what I mean? Like, you make them have to win so many fights because you're constantly clearing the defensive creep waves. You're making them separate on the map. You're not giving them the 5v5 they want. Anytime they try to group up like this, I just nuke the wave from far. Anytime they leave, I instantly walk out that lane. It's just this mentality that your hero is a lane sweeper. Like, you just take all the lanes that need to be done. You do all the maintenance for your team. You are literally the mother of your team, guys. You are taking care of every need that they have. You're saving them. You're playing the dangerous part of the map. You're defending towers. You're being obnoxious in the map. Notice how weird I'm being in terms of the trees, right? That's just because it's a bad game. And Dawnbreaker is super good at this. Never really going to my hammer, just constantly clearing and split pushing. Then I'm going to TP back to base soon with the ability to defend, I think. No, I'm actually trying to mimic the split push pressure here. I actually like what I'm doing. Forcing the TPs back. Fantastic, because Visage was also pushing top. And we're going to get our BKB. Use our ultimate to take the Aegis away from Timbersaw. Beautiful. Opponent just can't get what they want done. I feel like most of the heroes that counter Dawn don't have strong disable. The heroes that... There's 2 types of counters for Dawn. All these like beefy guys that also kite you, such as this game, or heroes that are mobile, that are hard to hit with your Starbreaker. And generally in the games when it's heroes that are hard to hit with Starbreaker, that's when I go like the Deso Blink Basher, because I just want to like blink on them and kill them. Most of the heroes that are annoying, Anti-Mage, Faceless Void, PA, they do just die to the Dawnbreaker, Starbreaker, Basher, Deso combo. It's pretty insane damage, and it's True Strike. Just note that. You will hit them. So no evasion or butterfly or PA really matters. So in regards to talents, I didn't really note this, but I always take the core talents, the ones that give you more damage. Starbreaker damage, Luminosity crit, Luminosity attacks, and then her level 25 is busted. 2 Starbreaker charges. When it comes to the late game, since neither of these replays is really going to get me into my later items, my strong considerations, I almost always have a Blink. Blink is almost always necessary on Dawn. It can be upgraded to Strength Blink, very good on Dawn, because it slows them and lets you hit your other spells. And then Bashers, Assault Cuirasses, Satanics, these are the type of items you want to consider. Pretty much those are the only items I buy. I never buy like MKB because Starbreaker is True Strike. Never really buy... I sometimes buy Daedalus, but like very rarely. Just remember that the more damage you do, the more heal you have and the more lifesteal you have. So overall, it just makes sense to have overall ability to hit people and do more damage. So minus armor from the AC and the Deso. BKB is a core item. In this specific game, I'm electing to skip the blink for a long time because it's really hard to blink onto these heroes anyways. But even though I've skipped it for this long, I still go for the late blink. Because if you play enough Dawn, you'll understand how hard it is to play this hero without a blink later on in the game. Her mobility spells are nice early game. Like, they're very reliable. You can hit the targets you want to hit. But when all these heroes have more levels, more items, it's just almost impossible to actually do what you want to do without a blink. And the blink shard is just too strong. And just notice how much damage this hero does. Yeah. And once you get the level 20 talent, your Q is guaranteed to crit if you hit all 3 attacks. And me and Lifestealer are just chunking people. Just so much damage. It's just so freaking strong. And eventually what happens is, in my experience, if you do the game plan that I've been saying to do this whole time, eventually the opponent separates and you kill them one by one. Exactly what you saw right there. I can just tell you, my viewers tend to say like, man, the opponents are a bunch of pigs. But it's literally every game of Dawn, because you just force them to separate. I know I emphasize a million times during this video what exactly you're trying to accomplish on Dawn, but divide and conquer really is what makes her strong. And her late game now, with the shard, is just insanely strong. When they gave her this new shard, in the recent buffs and the change to the laning phase, her whole game plan is just super reliable. Even past this patch, if you're watching this video, I think unless they change the shard, she'll always be the same hero. They just might make her laning stage less reliable. The hero's been the same since release, just the shard gives her the ability to scale because of the fact that you're reliably hitting people with your Starbreaker, which is a skill that used to fade into irrelevance somewhere around like 20 minutes. But yeah, guys, I've been loving Dawn. Super fun hero. Super versatile. I've played her all 3 core roles, but this was focused mainly on mid. Hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.